looking forward now to the presentation of Burin Gold. As you've noticed, there's a bit of a trend here at SF Online. We have a lot of newer companies or newly listed companies presenting, and I'm excited about that because there's opportunities to be had in earlier stage companies. David, the floor is yours. I'm going to shut up and let you take over.
All right. Well, thanks for the intro, Kai. Hello, everybody, and thank you for joining us today. My name is Dave Clark, as Kai mentioned, and I'm the CEO of Burin Gold. So we're a newly listed TSX-V company. We trade under the symbol BURG, and we have an exciting exploration asset in Newfoundland, Canada. So I'm happy to share the story of the company and the exploration play with you today. What I'm going to do is I'm just going to quickly outline the company structure, and then we'll move on and discuss the project and our plans for it. So first we have standard cautionary language that I have to display, and I'll just note that I am the qualified person for the company under 43-101. Here's the company story in a nutshell. We hold a large land position in Newfoundland. We've been exploring this land position since 2018, since before the current staking rush on the island. Our land package has over 20 kilometers of strike of historical gold showings. Only one out of these many showings has ever received any past historical drilling. We've completed a fair bit of exploration on the property when we were a private company to de-risk the asset and to advance the exploration. We've done some channel sampling and a small scout drill program in 2020, and both were highly encouraging. We had best sample results of 10.8 meters of 4.43 grams in drill core, 20 meters of 9.34 grams in surface channels. So the strength of those results allowed us to complete a successful IPO on the TSX Venture in November 2021. We raised $6.9 million in total. We listed under the symbol BURG. That listing was completed in November of last year. And since then, we've wasted no time. We've mobilized the drill and we've started drilling as of early February on our 10,000 meter planned resource delineation program at Hickey's Pond. We're going to be moving on to a lot of exciting high priority targets on the rest of the property in 2022. So we expect that this year will be exciting for the company, and we expect a lot of news flow starting in March. That's the quick overview. I'm going to jump through these points here in a bit more detail. So management and the board of directors. First of all, board of directors is chaired by Phil Walford. You may be familiar with Phil as he's the ex-CEO of Marathon Gold, which is the premier gold explorer in Newfoundland. With its Valentine Lake deposit, is very likely Newfoundland's next multi-million ounce gold mine. Phil, it was the instrumental in building that company and bringing it from grassroots exploration to the resource stage that it is at now. Sherry Dunsworth, next to Phil in the photo here on the left-hand side, is a structural geologist. She was VPX with Marathon Gold until 2020. And together, Phil and Sherry won PDAC's Prospector of the Year award last year for their work and success at Valentine Lake. So they're well known in Newfoundland and in Canada. They're serious discovery-focused geologists, and both accepted the invitation to sit on our board after seeing the discovery potential of our property. I think their presence on the board is a good sign that we have a strong exploration asset with a good probability of success. Myself here in the middle, I'm a geologist. I'm co-founder of the company. I was the one who proposed the original exploration idea and executed all the exploration programs to date. And together with my co-founder and co-director, Dan James, we were the ones who presented the idea to Plethora Private Equity, which is the Dutch private equity firm that provided us with the majority of the seed funding while we were private. So Dan sits as a fellow director, and then rounding out the team, we have Tom Panulius, who's an ex-banker in Toronto, well connected to the mining world, and he provides the board with his corporate development experience. Current capital structure. To note here, the float is quite tight, 38 million shares out, and current cash position just under $6 million. We're fully financed now, ready for a significant drill program. Key shareholders, we have strong cornerstone investors. New Gold invested both on some of our early private rounds and as well as on our IPO round, and Plethora Private Equity, which is the Dutch private equity firm I mentioned, still holding just under 25%. And then company insiders hold a significant fraction at 20% as well. So that's the company. Let's move on to the project. So on this map, this is a map of the island of Newfoundland. You can note, for those not familiar with it, it's off the east coast of North America, and it is quite a large island, 500 kilometers across. I've noted here in blue stars most of the currently explored gold projects in Newfoundland. As you probably know, Newfoundland is quite a hot jurisdiction right now. There's a lot of exploration dollars flowing into the province, and a lot of that is due to the discovery of Valentine Lake here in central Newfoundland. This discovery has shown that Newfoundland still has multi-million ounce gold deposits to discover, and we've seen a lot of activity in central Newfoundland in the last couple of years. Now, Burin's property is located here on the eastern coast of Newfoundland on this peninsula, which is called the Burin Peninsula. This part of Newfoundland is a host to a different geological terrain than central. This terrain is associated with epithermal gold deposits as opposed to orogenic gold deposits of central Newfoundland. Epithermal gold deposits host some of the world's largest gold deposits, and in particular, the high sulfidation type of epithermal deposit tends to form large open pit projects. We think the potential for large-scale gold deposits on our property is excellent. This part of Newfoundland has not been drilled or explored nearly as much as central Newfoundland, so it's really quite a wide open country in the eastern part of the province. We're going to zoom in now to the property scale itself, down here on the northern part of the peninsula. So this is a zoomed in map, and it shows our claim position in blue here. First thing to note, it is a large district scale play. You can see that it's over 30 kilometers in length and about 9 kilometers here at its largest width. We're also well located with respect to infrastructure for potential development. This black line, which runs parallel to the claims, is the Burin Highway. So that's a 2-lane paved highway, excellent road access. The pink line is a 138 kilovolt high voltage power line. And we have deep water shipping facility here on the north side of Placentia Bay. Sources of labor, Clarenville in the north, Marystown in the south. You're really quite well located. It's a very easy part of Newfoundland from a permitting perspective. Our land position here has no active land claims, no municipal boundaries, there's no protected areas. We have no salmon bearing rivers or other known environmental liabilities. It's a very uncomplicated part of the province. We've received drill permits here in under 30 days from application, which just shows like how simple it is compared to some places. Entire property package is about 16,000 hectares. It is 100% Burin Gold. We have a small NSR on a small portion, 1,750 hectares here, but the rest of the land package is 100% Burin. So we've looked at the company, we've seen the land package. What kind of gold deposit are we looking for? I'm showing here a cartoon that shows an idealized high sulfidation epithermal system. All of these features are typical features that we see in high sulfidation systems, and all of these features are features that we have on our project in a variety of locations. The rocks that we're looking at on the Burin Peninsula are deformed, so there's a structural overprint on top of these features, but they're all very recognizable as high sulfidation epithermal rocks, which is really important when you consider the potential of the property and the type of mineralization and size of mineralization we might expect to find. The important thing to remember, I guess, about high sulfidation systems is that they can be large open pit systems with relatively low grade, and they can have high grade feeders. And that around the world, there are many examples of profitable multi-million ounce systems of this type. So what got us interested and excited about this property was some of the early work we did in 2018, where we did some channel sampling on one of the old historical outcrops. We documented that there were 2 types of mineralization at surface. The first here on the left was the classic vuggy residual quartz unit that contained gold-bearing rocks, including sometimes some nice visible gold. And we also noted a copper gold breccia at surface, which ran high-grade gold and significant copper. That channel sample had best results of 20 meters of 9.3 grams, and that included a 7-meter interval in this copper breccia of 19.7 grams and 3.6% copper. So these were very significant early results, and they prompted us to come back to the property and put in a very small scout drill program. This is our 2020 drill program. Here's the plan map. It's showing the traces of the drill holes that we put in over about 700 meters of strike, and that's overlain on the chargeability anomaly that we've uncovered from one of our geophysical surveys. The results of this this program were very significant from a high sulfidation epithermal perspective. You'll note that every single hole we completed to depth intersected broad zones of mineralization, including several here of 10 to 20 meters of around a gram gold, including 20 meters of gram, 10.8 meters of 4 grams, 21 meters of 0.7, 21 meters of 0.9. all highly significant and point to a large footprint for a gold-bearing system at Hickey's Pond. Only a scant amount of drilling, really wide step outs here. This was really proof of concept drilling. I'll show you one quick drill section right over the central part of the system here. And it shows you the mineralized system in orange. It's hosted in a shear zone, which is the salmon colored or pink colored rock here. We're bounded by the granites on one side, the volcanic rocks on the other side. And we can see that right at surface, we have shallow, broad zones of mineralization, potentially amenable to open pit mining methods. Mineralization is open along strike in both directions, open to depth. We only have a few holes completed, but really exciting results so far. Zooming back out, we have now the district scale play. We've been looking right here in the northeast at Hickey's Pond. Hickey's Pond itself is part of a 7-kilometer long trend of chargeability. You can see that pink zone here running parallel to Hickey's Pond. That's a 7-kilometer long trend. None of it has ever been drill tested. It's all under shallow glacial till. So it's a great geophysical anomaly that's going to need follow-up. And then further down on the property, we have a large area which currently doesn't have geophysics. These are all historical showings. Not one of these showings has ever been drill tested. They all have the right kinds of ingredients for high sulfidation systems. We have the right alteration mineralogy. We have the residual quartz. We have gold grade on surface in many cases. And it's a historical oversight, I think, that none of this has ever been drilled, but it is our opportunity to do so. So to date, this is the story that I've told you today is the story we use to market our IPO. We've now started drilling again. So we're going to be aiming first at Hickey's Pond, expanding outwards along the strike of this alteration system, and we'll be moving on to systematically test some of these other undrilled targets on the property. Overall, we've moved this project significantly since 2018. We've done a lot of systematic exploration work as a private company. We did one round of drilling in 2020, which was that scout drilling I showed you earlier. Last year, 2021, we completed our IPO, and we have now remobilized the site. We are now drilling on the property and expect to be doing so throughout the spring and summer. Overall, it's a large land package. Almost all of it's completely undrilled. Our 2020 program gave us some very encouraging results, attracted the attention of very experienced explorers like Phil and Sherry, who now sit on our board. We've only tested a fraction of the overall system, but we believe that the potential for multi-million ounce deposits here is real and significant. The company is led by an experienced team. We have decades of success, both in Newfoundland and elsewhere. We have a very supportive core group of strategic shareholders who believe in the property's potential. We have just started drilling in early February. We're expecting that the first assays should come back in late March, early April, depends on the lab backlogs, but it looks like it's going to be about that. We think this is an excellent time for potential shareholders to consider an investment in the company. And I'm always happy to talk to potential shareholders. So I would encourage anyone who wants to chat to get in touch with me. Our contact info is here. And I'll hand it back over to Kai.
And we do have one question that I get to ask here live. And the question is, David, do you believe that this could be one large deposit at depth?
I think that it's more likely, if you look at the way that epithermal deposits typically are formed, it's more likely that we have a series of deposits. You can see clearly that there's a northeast trend to like all the showings line up along a northeast trend. And that's because likely when these were formed, this was a large crustal structure that, had multiple centers of hydrothermal flow. So I wouldn't be surprised to see multiple clusters here of deposits, like we have a large footprint to test. I doubt that it's one 20-kilometer long deposit, but there very well may be satellite deposits along it. And we know from experience, if you look at our closest analog at Hope Brook in southwest Newfoundland, that's a 2 million ounce deposit located in a 400 or 500 meter long strike. So it doesn't take a lot of strike to put together a few million ounces.
Fantastic. One last question, if you could answer that one quickly, is oh, no, it disappeared from my screen. And is there a possibility for major trenching? If you can make context of that, yeah.
Some of it can be trenched. There's a bit of shallow till. So in some areas, I think trenching could work, could be a good technique. In others, we'll have to go straight to the drill bit. It depends where on the property.
Gotcha. Fantastic. Dave, thank you so much for joining us. As I mentioned before, we're shareholders, so please take that with a grain of salt, and really appreciate you joining us. Thank you so much.
Very much.
It's good to see you. Thank you.